They say you never forget the moment you feel your soul slip an inch out of your body. For me, it was when I saw that man smiling at the security camera from inside a locked basement. My name's Ryan. I was 22 at the time, working the graveyard shift at a dying gas station on the outskirts of a forgotten town in Arkansas. The place was called Hollow Pines, and if that name doesn't already sound like something out of a horror novel, let me paint you a picture. One long, cracked highway surrounded by nothing but blackened woods and empty farmhouses that haven't seen life in decades. The kind of place where your phone signal dies before you do. The gas station was called Harper's Fuel Stop, but locals just called it the Hollow. Fitting, really. The road it sat on used to be part of the main route through town until they built a new interstate 10 years ago. Everything here just withered. Businesses closed. Houses abandoned. People left. What's left now is a ghost town with working gas pumps and a flickering neon sign that never quite turns off, even when it should. It was early December. Cold, foggy. I had just clocked in for my usual 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. shift. These late nights were mostly dead, a car or two at most, and I didn't mind being alone. No annoying coworkers, no nagging customers, just me, the humming of old fluorescents and the occasional raccoon fight outside. That night I was dragging my feet through the last hour of my shift, sipping cold coffee and scrolling through Reddit. Horror threads, ironic when I realized we were out of barbecue chips. And of course the extra stock is always kept in the basement, because apparently that's where nightmares like to breed. Let me tell you something about that basement. It always smelled like wet concrete and mildew, no matter the weather. The stairs groaned like old bones with every step, and the lights, dim, flickering. Sometimes they didn't even turn on at all. I had been down there dozens of times, hated it every single time. This night was different. I remember reaching the third step when I heard something fall at the bottom. It was sharp, metallic, echoing. Then, footsteps, heavy, deliberate, coming toward the stairs. I didn't stop to think. I ran back up, slammed the door shut and locked it. My hands were shaking so bad I nearly dropped my keys. My heart was beating so loud it drowned out the silence. At first I thought maybe it was a raccoon or a possum, but raccoons don't walk like that. They don't follow you. Trying not to freak myself out completely, I ran behind the counter and switched the monitor over to the basement camera. We had one crappy black and white feed pointing toward the far end of the room, and that's when I saw him. A man, standing dead center, staring directly into the camera. He wasn't a drifter or one of the local addicts that sometimes hung around. He looked normal. Too normal. Clean-shaven. Buttoned down, shirt tucked into faded jeans. No mud. No dirt. Like he'd just stepped out of a JCPenney catalog. But the way he was smiling, lips stretched wide, teeth showing, eyes fixed like he could see through the camera and into me, it made my skin crawl. He didn't move. He didn't blink. He just stood there, smiling. I wanted to call the cops, but my phone was in the office charging. I used the landline to call my boss, Mr. Harper, who lived about 15 minutes away. At first he sounded pissed. Said something like, "What the hell do you want, Ryan? I'm sleeping." But when I told him what I saw, my voice trembling, his tone changed. "Quick," he said. "Lock the front door. Don't go back downstairs. I'm on my way. Don't call the police." Not yet. Not yet? That part sat wrong with me. I locked the front entrance and went back to watching the screen. The man hadn't moved, not an inch. 3 minutes passed, then 4. Then he walked out of frame. I flipped through the other camera feeds trying to find him. Nothing. I started hearing noises, not from the basement anymore. From the walls, behind the cigarette shelves. The kind of sound that doesn't make sense unless you've lived somewhere long enough to know what shouldn't be there. I heard a whisper, or maybe a breath. And then the lights went out. The lights went out like someone snapped their fingers. 1 second I was staring at the screen. Empty now, the man gone. And the next, total darkness swallowed the gas station like a wave of black ink. The hum of the fluorescents died. The heater stopped. Even the buzzing of the soda fridge stopped. The silence was loud. Too loud. For a second I was paralyzed, frozen behind the counter, clutching the landline like it could protect me. My first thought? Power outage. But the register, lights were still on. The display screen glowed faint blue. Backup power. Only the ceiling lights were dead. Something had cut the lights deliberately. That's when I heard it again. Footsteps. But not from the basement anymore. This time they were upstairs, inside the store. I could hear slow, deliberate thuds on the tile floor, coming closer, closer, past the snack aisle, pausing near the fridge section. I held my breath so tight my ribs ached. Then I realized I had locked the front door. There was no way anyone could have come in, unless they were already inside. I leaned forward ever so slowly and grabbed the old aluminum bat we kept under the counter. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold on to it. The footsteps stopped. Silence. I waited. Then, bang. Something slammed hard into the wall behind me, inside the office. The same office where my phone was charging. I nearly dropped the bat. I didn't scream, but I wanted to. My throat locked up from pure instinct, like screaming would give away my position. I backed away, inch by inch, heart hammering. The office door creaked open. Slowly, but no one came out. I ran to the entrance and tried to see out through the glass, hoping, praying, that Mr. Harper would show up with that shotgun he always bragged about. I saw nothing. Just fog, and the faint glow of the neon sign flickering like it was dying too. Then I heard it. Click. The unmistakable sound of a door unlocking. The basement door. I turned just in time to see it swing open on its own. No footsteps, no wind. Just a slow, heavy creak as it opened wide enough to reveal nothing but pure ink-black darkness inside. And standing at the top of the stairs was that same man. But now he wasn't smiling. He was staring at me with an expression so blank, so empty, it made my stomach churn. Like he wasn't seeing me, like he was looking through me. His eyes, they were wrong, not human. There was no light reflecting in them. They were voids, pure and depthless. And then he said my name. He whispered it. Ryan. How did he know my name? I backed away, step by step, until I was pinned against the wall. And right then, like a goddamn miracle, headlights sliced through the fog outside Mr. Harper's truck. I screamed his name so loud my throat tore. He's inside, he's inside. The front door rattled as Mr. Harper banged on it. I ran, fumbled with the keys, unlocked it, yanked him in. And the second he was through the door, the lights came back on. All of them. Every aisle bathed in sickly white light. The humming returned. The heater roared back to life. We turned toward the basement. The door was shut. Not just shut. Locked. Mr. Harper didn't say a word. He walked past me, shotgun in hand, calm as if this was a normal Tuesday. Without hesitation, he unlocked the basement door and descended the stairs. I hesitated, but I couldn't let him go alone. I followed. Each step down felt like I was descending, into a grave, but the basement was empty, not just of people, empty. No storage shelves, no chips, no crates, no stock, just 4 cold concrete walls, stained and cracked, and a flickering bulb swinging overhead. What the hell? I whispered. Where's the inventory? Mr. Harper didn't respond. He was staring at the far wall, frozen. Then he said, You saw him too, didn't you? I felt my blood turn to ice. What? He turned to me, face pale. "I've seen him before. Years ago. I thought it was just in my head." That's when I noticed it. Scratched into the far wall over and over again were words. My name. Ryan. 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 Over 100 times, etched deep into the concrete with something sharp. Some of them were fresh, still white with dust. Felt the scream build in my chest again, and then, behind us, the basement door slammed shut. The slam of the basement door echoed like a gunshot, making the weak bulb above us flicker wildly. Mr. Harper spun around, raising the shotgun, but it was too late. We were locked in. The door above was solid steel from the outside. No handle. On our side. Just a bolt. A bolt that had slid shut. I ran up the stairs and pounded on the door like a man possessed, shouting until my voice cracked. No one answered. No help. No sound from outside. Just the low creaking of that single bulb swinging above, casting our shadows in frantic circles on the walls. That's when Mr. Harper whispered something that chilled my bones. "He feeds on people who don't believe he exists." I turned slowly. "What did you just say?" He wouldn't look at me. His eyes were fixed on the far wall, the one with my name scratched into it 100 times. "He showed up to my father the same way," he muttered. "Same gas station, same smile. He disappeared for days, locked in here. When they found him, he was sitting in the corner, eyes gouged out, still breathing, whispering a name. He finally looked at me. It was your name." My blood froze. "That's not possible." He stepped toward the wall and ran his hand across the carvings. Some were old, faded. Others were fresh, with flesh-colored bits still caught in the cracks like they'd been etched with fingernails. I backed away. No. I don't even know your father. This doesn't make any sense." But then I remembered. Something strange from years ago. A nightmare I used to have when I was a kid, over and over. A basement, a man smiling into a camera, a voice whispering my name. Always my name. Something moved behind us. We turned. The back wall, solid concrete, now had a door frame. There had never been a door there before. But now, it was open. Just a few inches. Darkness spilled out like oil. Mr. Harper raised the shotgun, muttering to himself, sweat pouring down his face. "He's not real, he's not real, he's not real." Then we heard the footsteps. From inside that doorway. Slow, wet, like bare feet on soaked concrete. A shape moved in the dark. A tall silhouette. No features. Just wrong. Like the shape of a man that never learned how to be human. "Ryan," it whispered again. But this time it didn't come from the figure. It came from inside my own head. I dropped to my knees, clutching my skull. My ears rang. The lights above shattered in a burst of sparks, leaving us in pitch black, and then the shotgun went off. The flash lit up the room just long enough for me to see Harper being dragged into the dark doorway, screaming, heels kicking the concrete. And in that flicker of light, I saw it. Its face. It wasn't the man from the camera. Anymore, it had my face, but wrong, like it had been worn, skinned, eyes empty, mouth twisted into a smile too wide to be real. A grotesque mockery of me. And then, it was gone. The door shut. Silence. I don't remember how I got out. I woke up hours later, outside, on the cold pavement behind the station. My phone was gone. The security feeds wiped. The basement locked like it had never been touched. No sign of Mr. Harper. They said he quit. Disappeared. Left town. No missing person report. No investigation. His truck was gone. His house, abandoned. The new owner of the station? Never met him. But I've heard he doesn't let anyone go into the basement. I tried to leave Hollow Pines after that. I moved. Burned everything from that life. But it didn't help. Because last week, I found something carved under my new apartment sink. Just one word. Ryan. And I know it's only a matter of time before that door opens again. And this time, I don't think I'll be the one telling the story. They say your instincts never lie. That small voice in your head, the one you always ignore. It's there to save your life. And if I had listened to mine, I wouldn't still be haunted by what I saw that night. My name's Emma Whitaker. I'm 24 and I live in Savannah, Georgia. But this story takes place somewhere far darker, in the empty back road veins of rural Florida, in a place you'll never find on a map. And trust me, that's a good thing. It was just after 2 a.m. my boyfriend Luke and I were driving home from a weekend trip to Universal Studios in Orlando. We were tired, a little cranky, and just trying to get home before the sun came up. Luke drives a sleek black Dodge Charger, but his fuel gauge is broken. Instead of reading how much gas is left, he resets the trip meter every time he fills up. He's meticulous about it, almost obsessive. Always fills up at 120 miles tops. But that night, we were tired, distracted. We pushed it past 130, big mistake. We were on a 2-lane back road flanked by dense woods that swallowed the moonlight. No streetlights, no houses, not even a mailbox in sight. Just miles of pitch black nothing. I remember saying, "Are you sure we're not running low?" And Luke brushing it off with a grin. He always tries to play it cool, always has to be in control. And then the car choked. Not fully, not a stall. Just a hiccup. Enough for Luke to mutter, "Shit," under his breath and pull over. No signal on either of our phones. Of course. So we did the only thing we could. Search for the nearest gas station using my offline GPS app, praying something was nearby. By some miracle, it showed a place just 5 minutes ahead. I remember feeling a knot in my stomach, like something was off about this road. I didn't say anything, though. Didn't want to add to the tension already building. The road dead-ended. Literally. The only thing at the end of it was a gas station, old, cracked concrete, one overhead light flickering, and 2 rusted pumps that looked like they hadn't been updated since the 80s. There were no other cars, no noise, no signs of life, except for the white car. A white sedan just parked there. Engine off, lights off, empty, or we thought it was. Luke got out of the car, still trying to play it cool. "I'll see if it takes cards," he said, walking toward the pumps. I stayed in the passenger seat, every hair on my arm standing on end. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I didn't know what it was yet, but my gut was screaming. That's when the white car turned on its headlights. I jolted. Luke turned around, confused. The white sedan pulled forward a few feet, just enough to block the only exit. The man behind the wheel. He was watching Luke. Just watching. His window rolled down. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I saw his hand drumming on the steering wheel, like he was waiting for something. Luke walked up to the pump, pretending not to notice. But I saw the stiffness in his shoulders. He was starting to feel it too. The air had changed. Thick, heavy. Like we were being weighed down by something unseen. The man in the white car reversed slowly, almost casually, and then turned left, disappearing into the dark. But here's the part that makes my skin crawl every time I think about it. There was nowhere to turn left. I stepped out of the car, confused, and looked past the gas station. Nothing but woods, no driveway, no side, road. Just dense black forest. Luke got back into the car, face pale. "We're not getting gas here," he muttered. We pulled out fast, tires screeching on the cracked pavement, back the way we came. But I couldn't shake the feeling. That wrongness. That man, he saw us. He chose to wait until Luke was alone and exposed. And the only thing that stopped him was the sound of me screaming Luke's name from the car. He didn't know I was there until I screamed. That's when he drove off. And that's when I knew something was going to happen if I hadn't opened my mouth. We drove in silence. The only sound was the hum of the engine and my breathing, shallow and shaky. I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. The way that white car moved, too precise, too patient. Like he'd done this before. Like he was waiting for the exact second Luke would be alone. We didn't talk about it, we didn't need to. But the dread didn't leave. It grew. The road out felt longer than when we came in. Like it was stretching itself, resisting us. I kept looking in the side mirror, expecting to see headlights tailing us. That same white car chasing, appearing from the trees like a ghost. But there was nothing. Only black. Eventually the GPS picked up again. A real station popped up, a chevron, 15 minutes away. It was off a more traveled road, real lighting, real people. We clung to that hope like a life raft. But before we got there, the trees swallowed us again. There was this stretch, maybe 2 miles, one where the woods grew unnaturally dense. Branches hung low over the road. The fog thickened like it was crawling across the pavement. Luke gripped the wheel tighter, and then I saw it. A figure, standing off the side of the road. Not a deer. Not a person walking a dog. Just a man. Still, facing our car. Dressed in white. "Is that him?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Luke didn't answer. He sped up. As we passed the man, I turned my head to get a better look. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there like he was waiting again. But the worst part? His face was covered, wrapped in what looked like a dirty pillowcase with 2 holes crudely cut where his eyes should be. We didn't speak. We didn't stop. Just silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. A few minutes later, we finally saw the chevron lights ahead like some glowing oasis. There were 2 cars at the pumps, a guy in a flannel shirt filling his tank, even a kid on a bike rolling by. Normal life. And that contrast, from what we just left behind, made me feel like vomiting. Luke pulled up to a pump and got out. This time, I followed. I wasn't about to let him be alone again, not even for a second. And then, I felt it. That horrible, gut-twisting sensation. The same one I had back at the dead-end station. Like something was watching us. Measuring us. I turned slowly. Across the street, half hidden by the tree line, was that same white car just sitting there. Engine off. No lights. But I could feel his eyes on us, even from that distance. "Get in the car," I told Luke. He didn't argue this time. We sped off without finishing the fill-up. I didn't care. I'd rather run out of gas in the middle of the city than spend 1 more second near that thing. That man. Whatever he was. When we finally got home around 4:30 a.m., my legs were numb from tension. My hands ached from clenching my fists the entire way. My dad was up drinking coffee. I didn't even wait for hello. I told him everything like word vomit. About the station, the man, the face covering, the car that shouldn't have turned where there was no road. He didn't react how I expected. He just stared at me. And then he said quietly, "That sounds like Route 11. You took that back road?" Nodded. He set his cup down. "You know they've found bodies along that road, right? Over a dozen. Last one was a couple. Pulled over to rest. Their car was found 6 miles from where they stopped. Keys still in the ignition, doors wide open, both of them gone. I didn't sleep that night, and neither did Luke. Because here's the thing that gets me the most, even more than the man himself. It's the thought that we weren't just being watched, we were being tested, and whatever he is, and he's not done with us yet. Luke didn't leave the house for 2 days. Neither did I. We kept the blinds closed, doors locked. His car keys sat untouched on the counter, like a relic from another life. We barely spoke, and when we did, our voices stayed low, like we were afraid someone, might be listening through the walls. But silence didn't help, because on the third night the knocks started, just after midnight. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on our front door. We froze. Not the kind of knock from a neighbor or a delivery guy. It was rhythmic, calculated, a pattern meant to announce something. Luke crept to the peephole. I watched his face go pale. "There's no one there," he whispered. I didn't go look. We sat on the couch until sunrise, backs against each other, a kitchen knife in my lap and Luke clutching a flashlight like it could do something. When daylight came, I opened the front door. No one, but taped to the glass was a piece of notebook paper folded once. No tape. Just stuck there, perfectly, like it had been pressed by a hand that knew exactly how to place it. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. It had one sentence, scrawled in jagged handwriting. You looked at him. No signature, no threats. Just a fact, a statement. One I couldn't deny. That same day, Luke packed a bag and drove to his brother's in Tennessee. Said he couldn't stay here anymore. Said he felt like something was staring through him. He begged me to come with him, but I couldn't leave. Something in me, stubbornness, denial, maybe guilt, kept me anchored. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself it wasn't real. Maybe I didn't want to admit how deep this thing had dug into us. I lasted one more night, because that night, he came back. It was around 2:43 a.m. I remember the time because I had just looked at the clock while lying in bed, eyes wide open, heart refusing to slow down. The kind of insomnia you get when your nervous system doesn't trust your house anymore. That's when I heard my back door click. I sat up, paralyzed, listening. The door creaked open. 1, 2, 3 slow footsteps, heavy, wet, like bare feet on tile. I didn't breathe. Then I heard the whisper. Emma. My name. Right behind my bedroom door. I bolted up, grabbed my phone flashlight, ran into the closet and slammed it. Shut. I didn't try to be brave. I didn't even cry. I just waited, listening. My phone refused to connect. 0 bars. Then the footsteps stopped, not fading, just gone. I waited there for what felt like hours. Eventually, I opened the closet, flashlight trembling in my hand. My room was empty, but on my bed was another note. This time it wasn't handwritten. It was typed, perfectly aligned, clean, cold. You screamed his name. That's how I knew you were there. I don't like being interrupted. I moved out the next morning. Never went back. I changed my number. Changed cities. Cut ties with Luke. I haven't spoken to him since the day he left, though. Sometimes I wonder if he's still alive. If he's gotten a note. If he heard the whisper behind his door. But I know one thing. I'll never go near a gas station on a dead-end road again. And I'll never ignore my gut. Because there's something out there, hiding in the cracks of this country. Watching the lost. Waiting in the shadows of broken gas pumps and twisted forest roads. It doesn't care who you are. Only that you looked at him, and once you do, he never forgets your name. You know that feeling when something's off? When your instincts kick in, but logic tells you to keep walking? That's exactly how girls disappear. My name is Alyssa Miller, and I used to live in a small industrial town in Ohio, just outside of Youngstown. The kind of place where factories outnumber families and the only thing open past 10 p.m. is the 7-Eleven near the rail yard. My boyfriend, Drew, worked the night shift there. And since our neighborhood wasn't exactly safe, I'd drive him to work and pick him up every night. That routine made me feel useful, like I was keeping him safe. I didn't realize I was the one who needed saving. It was just after midnight, and Drew had texted me that it was a slow night, told me to come early if I wanted to hang out for a bit. I did that often, pull into the side lot and sit in the car scrolling on my phone until his break. It wasn't romantic, but it was something. That night felt different from the moment I turned off the main road. The parking lot was nearly empty, just a handful of cars. Most looked abandoned, honestly, dusty, no movement. The side of the building where I parked was a blind spot. No security cameras, no streetlight. Just a broken pole lamp and the eerie orange glow bleeding from inside the store. I pulled in, killed the engine, and stepped out. Then I saw him. A man, late 30s, maybe 40, standing beside a white pickup truck parked diagonally from mine. He was already facing me like he'd been waiting, like he'd known I was coming. I looked down, clutched my keys. He stepped toward me. "Hey," he said, voice casual. "You know anything about trucks?" I shook my head, forcing a polite smile. "Sorry, I don't." "Come on," he said, chuckling. "Just take a quick look. I think it's the battery or something stupid." His smile didn't match his eyes. His posture wasn't relaxed. It was coiled, like a predator testing how close it could get. Took a step back. I really don't know anything about cars. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. He took another step toward me. "You just parked. You've got a minute, right? You're not in a hurry." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Like he already knew my schedule, like he'd been watching. I felt my heart start to race. My hands went clammy. "I'm meeting someone," I said quickly. "My boyfriend works here." That's when his entire demeanor changed, his body stiffened. His smile dropped. His eyes darted toward the store entrance, and for the briefest second I saw something raw in his face. Fear. He turned around and walked fast toward his truck. No hesitation, no lingering, no more pleasantries. He jumped into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and peeled out of that lot like he was running from something. I didn't even move. I stood there frozen, watching those red taillights vanish down the road. My breath was caught in my chest, like my body had gone on lockdown without permission. When I finally got inside the store, Drew saw my face and didn't even ask. He just grabbed his jacket and followed me back out. I tried to tell him, I did, but the words didn't come out right. Because how do you explain the terror of almost being taken when nothing actually happened? There was no crime, no contact, just suggestion. But I know what I felt. I know what that man was trying to do. And the worst part is, if Drew hadn't been there, if I hadn't said he was, I think I would have been gone. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that man's face. The way his expression shifted the moment I said the word, boyfriend. The calculation behind his eyes flickering into something else. Panic, maybe, like I'd ruined a plan he thought would be easy. But what really got to me was how fast he drove away. Not like someone embarrassed or annoyed. No. He left like someone who had run out of time. For the next few nights, I still picked Drew up from work, but I changed where I parked. Stayed in my car with the engine running, doors locked, one hand on my phone and the other curled around the tiny pepper spray I kept on my keychain. I started watching everyone. Every vehicle, every movement, every pair of headlights that turned into the lot. I'd never realized how easy it was to disappear, in the dark edges of a town no one cared about. And then 4 nights later he came back. Same white pickup, same parking spot, same exact time. I saw it from across the lot while waiting in the front of the store instead of the side. At first I didn't think it was him. Maybe it was just another white truck. There were plenty of those around. But then, I saw him. He wasn't standing by the truck this time, he stayed inside. Windows rolled down, elbow on the doorframe. Just sitting there, staring. Not at me, at the store entrance. Like he was waiting for something to change. I stepped back behind one of the shelves, pulse thudding in my ears. Drew noticed. "You okay?" I didn't even answer. I just pointed to the window. He looked, his face twisted. "That's the guy?" I nodded. Drew didn't wait. He marched toward the door, pulling out his phone, ready to snap a picture of the license plate or confront the guy. I don't even know. But the moment Drew stepped outside, the truck was gone. Gone, like it had never been there. No sound of the engine, no tires, nothing, just an empty lot under flickering lights. Drew walked back in, confused, annoyed. "You sure it was him?" I didn't answer, because I was staring at something just behind the counter, the shelf near the lottery tickets. Someone had placed a folded piece of paper there. Drew hadn't seen it. No one had come inside. I picked it up with shaking hands and unfolded it slowly, expecting some cryptic line or more silence like the last time. But this time, it was worse. There was just one sentence, written in slanted black ink. "Next time, don't speak." I nearly dropped it. Drew tried to grab it from me, but I yanked it away. I didn't want him touching it. Didn't want him involved more than he already was. I didn't understand how it got there, how he could have placed it without being seen unless he'd been inside while I was watching him from the window, unless the man in the truck wasn't the one I should have been watching. That night, I didn't go home. We drove to Drew's parents' house 2 towns over, locked the doors. Didn't talk about it, but something was already happening in my mind. I started checking behind every door, under every car, every bathroom stall. I stopped going anywhere alone. I couldn't sleep without a nightlight. I couldn't stop thinking, why me? And then the next morning I got a text from an unknown number. "You don't remember me, but I remember you. You don't remember me, but I remember you." That was the message. No name, no follow-up. Just that cold, calculating sentence glowing on my phone screen like it had been waiting to be read. I didn't reply. I turned off my phone and stared at the wall for maybe an hour. My mind was screaming, racing through memories. Every face I'd ever passed on the street, every stranger I'd smiled at out of politeness. Someone at school, a customer at the diner I worked at last summer, a face I barely registered, but he had memorized, or maybe he had never been a stranger at all. That afternoon I went back to my apartment while Drew was at work. I just wanted to grab a few more things. Clothes, my laptop, anything I could fit into a duffel. I planned to stay with his family for a while, somewhere safe, somewhere visible. The building was quiet, still, too still, like it was holding its breath. I told myself I'd be fast. In and out. 10 minutes max. I unlocked the door. Everything looked normal until I stepped inside and felt it. The smell, a faint mix of sweat, gasoline, and something rotting, something not human. I stood there frozen, holding the doorknob, realizing the air in my own home felt wrong, heavy, watched. I took one step forward and saw it, my bedroom door. Wide open. I never leave that door open. Ever. I dropped my bag, walked slowly toward the door, every part of my body begging me to run. Inside. Nothing. No one. But the closet light was on, and on the bed, propped up neatly, deliberately, was a photo frame that didn't belong to me. I had never seen it before. It held a picture of me at a gas station. That gas station. The one where I met him. Candid. From a distance. Smiling. I was looking at my phone, oblivious. The frame had a note, taped to the back. I've been watching you longer than you think. I dropped it and ran. But as I turned, something caught my eye in the mirror above my dresser. Something moved. A reflection. Behind me. I spun around. There was nothing. But I swear to you, I saw the shape of a man, and for a split second he had my keys in his hand. I ran to the door and yanked it open so fast I nearly tore the handle off. I didn't stop running until I reached the car. I didn't breathe until I was back on the freeway, speeding north toward Drew's parents' place, not even looking in the rear view. But he didn't need to follow me, because when I got there, when I finally exhaled and tried to explain it all to Drew's mom, shaking, crying, nearly hysterical, she told me something that made my blood turn to ice. "Sweetheart, I don't know who you're talking about, but someone came by earlier. Said he was a friend of yours. Tall man. White pickup truck. Said you left your phone behind. I told him you'd be back soon." She handed me my phone. I hadn't left it. It was in my jacket pocket the whole time. I opened the phone. There were new photos in the gallery. All of them were taken from inside the house, through windows. Of me. Of Drew's parents. Of us. Sleeping. The last one? Me walking into my apartment just an hour ago. That was 3 hours before I saw the frame, before the mirror, before the note. He was inside, while I was outside. He let me leave. Because this isn't about catching me. It's about reminding me. He can. And now, every time I close my eyes, I see headlights in my mind. A white truck, idling, waiting, because I made the mistake of speaking, of looking, of interrupting. And now I live with one final truth. He never needed to take me that night. Because the real horror isn't what he did. It's knowing he still can. Any time he wants. It was 1:43 a.m. when I pulled off that godforsaken stretch of highway in the middle of rural Virginia, and I still regret it to this day. Let me rewind for a second. I was on my way back to Auburn University after visiting family in Delaware for spring break. I had this dumb, stubborn idea that I could drive straight through the night with just a short nap at a friend's place in North Carolina. No big deal, right? College kid logic, coffee, and ambition. But by that point in the drive, my body was fighting to stay awake. My gas tank was nearly empty and my phone battery was sitting at 3%, practically mocking me, that kind of tired where the lines on the road start to look like they're moving. Casey, my 100-pound black labradoodle, had been sleeping quietly in the backseat for most of the trip, until I said, "Let's get some gas, bud." And he perked, up like he knew something I didn't. The first exit I saw had a little green sign that read, "Everson next exit, services 0.5 miles. There was no one else on the road, no other cars, no signs of life. I pulled off the ramp, tires crunching over gravel that hadn't seen traffic in what felt like weeks. On either side, there were thick black woods pressing in. The moon was hidden behind low clouds and everything felt too quiet. The gas station was barely lit. A flickering sign above the canopy said, "Carver's Fuel and Food," but there were no cars, no lights inside the building, and no movement. Still, the pump lights were on, glowing a pale, sickly yellow. 5 minutes, I muttered. "We'll be gone in 5. I got out, clipped the nozzle into the tank, and let it start pumping. Casey stretched in the back seat, yawning. Then, he froze. He stared out the window, ears up, head tilted slightly. Then came a low guttural growl, And I mean the kind of growl that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up like static. Casey never growled. Ever. That's when I heard it. The sound of tires on gravel behind me. I turned and saw 3 black SUVs pulling into the lot. Then a 4th. And then a large matte black van, no markings, just windows tinted so dark they looked like voids. I backed up toward my driver's side door, instinctively locking eyes with Casey, who was now snarling. The SUV doors opened slowly. 1, 2, then more. Men, lots of them. They weren't dressed like workers or travelers. They wore dark jackets, no logos, no colors, plain uniform almost, maybe 15 or 20 guys total. Not a single one touched a gas pump. They just stood there for a second, watching. Then they began walking behind the station, disappearing into the darkness like they'd rehearsed it. One of them, a tall man, with a scar across his cheek, turned to look at me directly through my windshield. He smiled. Not the friendly kind. It was slow, crooked, like he was enjoying a private joke at my expense. Then he too vanished behind the building, and I just stood there frozen. The pump clicked, snapping me out of it, and I realized something. None of their vehicles were getting gas. No keys were turned, no doors slammed shut, no beeps from unlocking. It was like they'd come here for something else, or worse, someone. I didn't even realize my hand was shaking until I tried to shove the pump back into its cradle and missed. Twice. My fingers were slick with sweat despite the cold, my breath fogging up the inside of the windshield like I'd just run a mile. "Casey, get down," I whispered. He didn't. He stayed stiff, crouched on the back seat like a coiled spring, eyes glued to the edge of the station where the last of the men had disappeared. His body was trembling, not in fear but readiness. I climbed into the driver's seat, locked the doors with a loud thunk, and just sat there for a second. I could feel it. That primal kind of fear that doesn't come from what you see, but from what your body knows before your brain catches up. I should have left. I should have slammed my foot on the gas and peeled out of there like a bat out of hell. But I didn't, because something about the way they moved. It was too calm, too deliberate, like this wasn't some spontaneous meetup, like they'd done this before. I stared through the windshield. Nothing, just the dirty pumps and the dim lights buzzing overhead, and then I heard it. Boots, crunching on gravel, steady, unhurried, coming from behind the building closer. That sound broke something in me. I threw the car into drive and floored it, my tires spitting gravel behind me. But as I turned toward the road, the headlights swept across the corner of the station, and there he was, the man with the scar. He was standing just at the edge of the building, hands by his sides, smiling again. But this time he was holding something. A black object, cylindrical, metallic, a flashlight maybe? No, it was too short, too thick, and as the beam of my headlights caught his face fully, I swear to God, his smile widened, not in surprise, not in confusion, but like he was proud of me for figuring out it was time to run, like it was a game, and I was just the first piece to move. I didn't look back after that. I couldn't. The road out was pitch black, winding, cracked from years of disuse. My GPS wouldn't load. My phone was dead, but I didn't care. I just drove. 10-20 minutes. I didn't even know if I was going the right direction. It wasn't until I saw a glowing Shell station up ahead, bright lights, clean pavement, people, that I finally let myself breathe. I pulled into a spot near the front, turned off the engine, and just sat there with Casey, both of us breathing like we'd escaped a fire. Only then did I realize none of the SUVs had plates. Not one. And to this day, I don't know what those men were doing, but I know what they weren't doing. They weren't there for gas. I stayed at that Shell station for over an hour. I didn't pump gas, I didn't pee. I didn't move. I just sat there with Casey, watching strangers come and go under the fluorescent lights, feeling like I'd slipped back into the world. But I wasn't in the world. Not really. I was somewhere else now, somewhere darker. Eventually, I found the courage to ask one of the clerks if there was a hotel nearby. There wasn't. Nothing but road and forest and truck stops for miles. She offered to let me charge my phone behind the counter, and I almost cried. When it buzzed back to life, I saw something that made my stomach twist. No missed calls, no texts, no GPS data, just a photo. One single image sitting in my camera roll. I hadn't taken a photo all day, not one, and yet there it was. A blurry image taken from inside my car facing the windshield. At first it was just noise, gravel, glare, the corner of the gas station sign in the top right. But then I saw it. In the reflection on the windshield, a face, his face. Not full, just the smile. That same scar, that same empty, mocking smile. The timestamp? 51. Emda exactly when I was inside the car, locked in, watching them disappear behind the building. He had been right in front of me, close enough to press his phone against the glass and take a picture. I wanted to throw up. I showed it to the clerk. She went pale and asked if I wanted to call the police, and for a second, I hesitated. Would they believe me? Would they go to some abandoned gas station on a dead road and find anything? Because I'd driven past that exit the next day. After. The sun was up after I'd slept 3 hours at a rest stop, but there was nothing there. No station, no signs, no pumps. Just an overgrown lot with broken concrete and a rusted pole where a sign might have been. It was like the place never existed. But I know what I saw, and every time I look at Casey, every time he growls at nothing when we stop for gas late at night, I think of that smile, that scar, that click of the photo being taken, and I wonder if they were ever waiting for gas, or if they were just waiting for someone like me, someone tired, alone, vulnerable, someone who wouldn't make it out. Next time, if you made it this far, you're braver than most. If these stories chilled you even a little, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps me bring you more horror, more darkness, and more truth. Share this video with someone who thinks they're not afraid of the dark, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Join us. There's always another story waiting, and right now, the one playing on your screen might just be the scariest of them all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.